thy mercies will see. Thou sendest thine angel to show us the way. To thee we sing out when we pray. Sing He maketh down Leolam Wae. Louder, louder, louder. Leolam Wae. Leolam Wae. From the top. Reishi, 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 CHOKMAH, Yera, Yahovah, Leolam Wae, Leolam Wae, Leolam Wae. Come on, I want everybody to sing it. Drummers, sing it. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. Come on, y'all got it. Come on. Come on, y'all got it. Louder, louder. Leolam Wae. Leolam Wae. Put some songs on it. Come on. Leolam Wae. Do the breakdown. Do the breakdown. Reishi, Reishi, Reishi. Come on, y'all got it. CHOKMAH. Come on, put some black on it. Put some black on it. Yira, yira, yira. Come on, let me hear some riffs. Reishi, Reishi, Reishi. Come on, brothers. Come on, brothers. CHOKMAH. Yira, yira, yira. Yahovah. Let's turn it up. Let's turn it up. Let's turn it up. Reishi, CHOKMAH. Yira, Yahovah. Pick it up. Reishi, CHOKMAH. Yira, Yahovah. Reishi, CHOKMAH, Louder, louder, again. Shema Yisrael Yahovah. I think y'all can do better. Baruch Shem Kevo Malkuto Leolam. Baruch Shem Kevo Malkuto Leolam. Again. Shema When I say praise, you say yeah, praise. 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 Let's go. Take it up. Oh, y'all jumpers, let me down right there. Start it over. When I say praise, you say yeah, praise. 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 Yeah. Come on, y'all. Louder. I don't think the jumpers is playing hard enough. I don't think they're playing hard enough. Y'all not playing hard enough. Find your drum and get right. When I say praise, you say yeah. Praise. Praise. When I say praise, you say yeah. Praise. Praise. When I say praise, you say yeah. Praise. Praise. When I say praise, you say yeah. Praise. Praise. When I say praise, you say yeah. Praise. Praise. When I say praise, you say yeah. Praise. 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 Yeah. I still don't think they're playing hard enough. I still don't think they're playing hard enough. Them drums is not moving me right now. I need to be moved. I need to hear that beat going through my chest right now.
You want to get on?
Nah, I want them to do it. I want that beat to come through. I want that beat to come through.
Tired? Y'all tired?
Y'all tired? There's no such things. The people ready. Y'all ready, right? Y'all ready, right? When I say praise, you say yeah. Praise.
Yeah.
Praise.
Yeah.
When I say praise, you say yeah. Praise.
Yeah.
Praise.
Yeah.
When I say praise, you say yeah. Praise.
Yeah.
Praise.
Yeah.
When I say praise, you say yeah. Praise.
Yeah.
Praise.
Yeah.
When I say praise, you say yeah. Praise.
Yeah.
Praise.
Yeah.
Praise.
Yeah.
Praise.
Yeah.
Praise.
Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey.
What y'all think? What y'all think? That was a what? What you said, Quan? That was a 6? Tyler, what you got?
Woo! He said that was a 6.
You got a 7. Yo, John, what you got? You got a 7. A 6 and 2 7s. That ain't nothing.
Stop the jump.
That ain't nothing. That's a 6.5. Let me see if I can get the people going. Let's see if the people could out-sing the drummers. We're gonna praise Yahuwah. We're gonna praise Yahuwah. We're gonna praise Yahuwah. Praise Jehovah. We're gonna praise Jehovah. Come on, let's go. We're gonna praise Jehovah. Hey, let's get a two-step going. Hey, we're gonna praise. We gonna start this way. We gonna start this way. Two-step, two-step. We're gonna praise Yahweh. Come on, everybody. Come on, get the rhythm. We're gonna praise Yahweh. Hey, Yahweh. You don't got no rhythm? We're gonna praise. Oh, you don't got no rhythm? Come on, you don't got no rhythm? Everybody, come on, sway back, come on, sway back. We're gonna praise Yahweh. Hey, let's get the band. Let's get the band. We're gonna praise Yahweh. Let's go, drummers. Let's go, drummers. Bring it in. We're gonna praise Yahweh. Come on, move your body. Move your body. We're gonna praise Yahweh. Hands out. Bring your hands out. Come on. We're gonna praise Yahweh. Hold on. Y'all know that King David danced out his clothes, right? Y'all know that King David praised God and danced out his clothes, right? I don't want y'all to dance out your clothes, but I want to see that y'all got some rhythm. Praise God. Listen, everybody keep still for a second. Everybody keep still for a second. We're going to start this way, and then we're going to come this way. It's a two-step. Y'all got some rhythm. Act like I got some rhythm. All right? Two-step.
They tied in there.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. this way, this way. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Yeah, yeah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Now give me one hand. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Let's go, praise Yah, come on. Praise Jehovah, praise Jehovah, praise Jehovah, praise Jehovah. I said praise Jehovah, praise Jehovah, praise Jehovah, praise Jehovah, Jehovah, One more time, come on. Quadosha, Quadosha, Yahovah. Let's go. I said, Yahovah. The song and dance, come on. Praise Yahovah, praise Yahovah, praise Yahovah. And exalt his name. Come on. Hallelujah. 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 Yeah, y'all had the spirit this afternoon. And with the time that we have left, we're going to call up the speaker of the afternoon, my brother, Samal Zaccar Ben Dan. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
First and foremost, just offering all honors, praises, respect, acknowledgement, and thanks unto the great King of the universe, to the God of our fathers, to the God of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, thanking him for all things and everything. I bid you in the tongue of our forefathers, Shabbat, Shalom, Nicole. Shabbat, Shalom, Nicole. Be seated. I was about to ask how everybody feeling, but I already know. I tell you, when it says that David set up, or the sons of Asaph, and David set them up to sing in a temple, you got to figure that that's exactly what was happening. So we're gonna continue in the book of Yehoshua, which is Joshua, and we're gonna be doing Joshua chapters 5 and 6. And like Chief Mekubagi left off last week, when he was talking about the waters being cut off, the children of Israel, the priest stepped in the waters, and as soon as the waters of the Jordan, and as soon as they stepped in, the waters just stopped. And again, so what's happening right now is the Most High God is showing Israel once again, the Most High God is showing Israel once again his power. And one of the things that you're going to see is you're going to see it consistent through the book of Joshua, because one of the things that he's doing is he's having them to build confidence, not build confidence in them, but build confidence in the fact that as long as you follow God, then everything is going to be all right. So we're going to, actually before I start, I just want to know, so this week, I went to listen to Chief Rabbi Fournier, and he spoke over at Brotherhood Synagogue in Manhattan. And I know for us, a lot of times, what we do is we find ways to divide us. Rather than look for the things that join us, a lot of times we look for the things that divide us, and we need to start to change that. Because those divisive types of attitudes and demeanors that we take on is something that was given to us. Because we always been a family-oriented people. We always have been a community-oriented people. And for us to find reasons to divide us, that's something that's new to us. And one of the things that he said, and again, so I'm not one that subscribes to the designation of being a black Jew, nor am I one to subscribe to the designation of practicing Judaism. But one of the things that he said, and I thought was important, and a lot of times we as a people, when we speak, and we need to learn our audience. And I think the audience that he had, he made a statement that I thought was really important. He said, Judaism is a philosophy that needs to be turned into a way of life. So now, we know that God didn't create philosophy. And we know that God didn't create Judaism. But one of the things, what I took from what he said is, right now, there are a lot of our people who feel like Judaic practice is enough to get them closer to God. And it's not. Right. A lot of people feel like Judaic practice is the only thing that the Most High God left on record for us, and I can tell you without a doubt that it's not. And I think the statement that he made was so important because he said, yeah, okay, it's a philosophy, because he recognized that some people subscribe to the fact that Judaism was something that was for us, which is not. But if you want to get closer to God, we need to apply Torah in our lives. And that was because that's going to be the thing that's going to cause us to find favor before God. And that was the message that I took from what he said. So whenever you're ready, we're going to start in the book of Joshua. Joshua chapter 5, whenever you're ready.
Verse 1, hallelujah. Hallelujah. And it came to pass, when all the kings of the Amorites that were beyond the Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites that were by the sea, heard how that Yahweh had dried up the waters of the Jordan from before the children of Yisrael until they were passed over, that their heart melted. Neither was there spirit in them anymore because of the children of Yisrael.
So now, one of the things that we need to realize is that the Most High God paved the way of us coming before we got there. When we as a people, when this started from the talk of God, when God destroyed Egypt and he split the Red Sea and had us to come through on dry ground, that's when this legend started. And while we were in the wilderness bickering and fighting and doing the things that we were doing in the wilderness, the Most High God was showing his greatness. Because everybody else that were around that were looking at the things that God was doing, we were the only ones who weren't. God was creating miracles for everybody else to see. And again, we were so self-involved in the things that that we thought were important, that we weren't even paying attention to the signs and the things that God was bringing forth. And I think that that's something that's relative today, because right now, God is showing signs throughout the earth.
That's right.
And we as a people are so self-involved with our own things that we're not recognizing some of the things that God is doing. God caused an electrical fire,
Right.
which was a transformer that exploded, that somebody took a picture of, and he caused that to turn into wildfires that's burning up all of California.
Right.
True.
The rich part of California. LeBron James said he couldn't get a hotel. Now, if LeBron James can't get a hotel, that just lets you know what type of damage and destruction is being caused. But again, we as a people not recognizing and understanding the signs of God. And once we begin to come a little bit more in tune with God, we'll realize that God is setting the path and God is paving the way. So if you look at what's happening here, he said that God dried up the waters, and then he dried up the waters of the Jordan again, just in case the people didn't remember. People was following a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, and all of the times these people are looking around and they're seeing Israel come. What did they say when they went to spy out the land and Rahab saw them? Rahab said, we already know.
Right.
We know your God is God, and we knew y'all was coming before y'all even got here. Right. And it's the same thing that's happening here, so that when we start to go in and possess the land, one of the things that you're going to realize that we didn't have to do much work.
Right.
Because God already set everything in place. All we had to do was follow along. Y'all with me?
Okay.
Amen. Come on.
Verse 2. At that time Yahweh said unto Joshua, make thee knives of flint, and circumcise again the children of Israel the second time. And Joshua circumcised the children of Israel at Gibeah Ha'aralot. And this is the cause why Joshua
the hill of foreskins. Come on.
And this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise all the people that came forth out of Egypt, that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way after they came forth out of Egypt. For all the people that came out were circumcised. But all the people that were born in the wilderness by the way as they came forth out of Egypt had not been circumcised. For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness, till all the nation, even the men of war that came forth out of Egypt, were consumed, because they hearkened not unto the voice of Yahweh, unto whom Yahweh swore that he would not let them see the land which Yahweh swore unto their fathers, that he would give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. And he raised up their children in their stead. Them did Joshua circumcise, for they were uncircumcised, because they had not been circumcised by the way.
Right. So now, one of the biggest reasons that I thought, and I'm going to jump back to this, where Rabbi Fournier's comment about Judaism and a philosophy and changing it to a way of life. The reason that I thought that was important in this portion is, so this whole thing about circumcision. So we read this morning about circumcision and the importance of circumcision. Am I right or wrong?
That's right.
The Most High God said that circumcision is the sign of the covenant, and that was something that God commanded to do, commanded Abraham for him and all males after him, that will be done. But a lot of times we become in conflict with certain things, and I don't think that we as a people recognize how big of an impact Judaism has on us. And I don't think we recognize that. So it's two things that's happening with circumcision today, right now. So it says that Joshua circumcised the children of Israel a second time, right?
Yes.
So now people have taken that to understand that means that you could be circumcised twice. That that you have to be circumcised twice. That as a part of this halakhic tradition, in order to make conversion into Israel, one of the things that they tell you is that we understand you may be circumcised, but we need to circumcise you again. So now I seen it with my own son. I seen it. Once you cut the foreskin, ain't nothing else for God. I mean, if you start cutting anything else, you causing a problem.
Right.
Am I right or wrong? Okay, all right. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So if you hear somebody talking about circumcision twice, it lets you know that that's not Torah.
Right.
The other thing that's happening in these days and times is, so now let me just kind of clarify this. Women don't get circumcised, am I right or wrong? Right. Women being circumcised is not a part of Israelite culture because we read the Torah today, and the Torah said all males shall be circumcised.
That's correct.
So we don't deal with women being circumcised.
Right.
So I just want to make that clear.
Right.
If anybody starts talking about women being circumcised, that has nothing to do with Israel.
Right. Self-mutilation.
I ain't gonna talk about what it is. I'm just gonna say, listen. So now, that's not Torah. Such a thing. And so now a lot of people are turning down circumcision altogether because they're saying that it's cruelty to the baby. So now, I don't know. When I was a kid, I got circumcised. Right now, I feel just fine. I've seen people get circumcised, and listen, I'm gonna tell you what happened. It's just like any other cut or scrape or bruise that you get. They gave him a little wine, he fell asleep, he woke up, he was circumcised. Am I right or wrong? Anybody seen it any different? So this whole thing about this cruelty to babies and all those different things, but again, that's just the Most High God separating his people from everybody else.
That's right.
Because if you guard people, you know the importance of being circumcised, am I right or wrong? Because God said, the male among you that chooses not to be circumcised, what? He shall be cut off from among his people.
That's right.
So if other people decide that they don't want to be circumcised, I say, you know what? Good for you. It's time for us and our people to get ourselves together.
Verse 8. And it came to pass.
I'm sorry, because I actually meant to clarify. So now, it gave you the reason why, the part about the circumcision. It's not, so now, the people who were already circumcised didn't need to be circumcised, but there was a group of people, because they were in the wilderness so self-absorbed doing the things that we were doing in the wilderness, that some people didn't circumcise their children, and God knew that. So God said, for those, make sure you circumcise. If you're already circumcised, then you're good. Now, Chief Nav talked about it this morning. I don't know if Joshua went around checking to make sure people were circumcised or not, or if he just took their word for it. That's a term that they use called short-arm inspections. But I can tell you this. If you got somebody wanting to check whether or not you're circumcised, you need to check this person and find out why you want to know. Why you need to check whether or not I'm circumcised. My word should be good enough. Am I right or wrong?
That's correct.
Okay. Come on.
Verse 8. And it came to pass, when all the nation was circumcised, every one of them, that they abode in their places in the camp till they were whole.
Because from what I understand, once you get circumcised, you need some time to recuperate.
Right.
Come on.
Verse 9. And Yahweh said unto Joshua, this day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you. Wherefore the name of that place was called Gilgal unto this day.
And so we saw how God, it was a reproach for those that came out of Egypt, even though God was doing the things that he did, and he was merciful and lenient at that point for the people who hadn't been circumcised in the wilderness because of everything that was going on. It shows you that now that they weren't circumcised, it's telling you God rolled away the reproach.
Verse 10. And the children of Yisrael encamped in Gilgal, and they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even in the plains of Jericho.
Okay.
And they did eat of the produce of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the selfsame day. And the manna.
So, hold on. So now, can you read, so I want y'all to understand. So one of the things that we doing at D.C.B, and I think I say this all the time, and a lot of us are saying that, we take certain stances and we do certain things. And we want people to understand why we take the stances that we take and why we do certain things. So it says, in verse 11, it says, and they did eat on the produce of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn, right? Can you just jump to Leviticus chapter 23, verse 14? 23:14.
Leviticus 23:14. And ye shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor fresh ears, until this selfsame day, until ye have bought the offering of your God. It is a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
So now, when you read about Shavuot, they say that as a part of Shavuot, you need to bring this offering. And it says you bring the offering when? On the morrow after the Passover. So then we get caught up. But then it says, it goes on to say, you shall not eat green ears nor fresh corn until you bring that offering of your God. Am I right or wrong?
That's correct.
So then you go to the book of Joshua, and you see that in the book of Joshua, on the morrow after the Passover, that's when they were able to eat the fresh ears and the parched corn. Right? Y'all with me, right? Yeah. So then that means that's when they brought.
More on the Shabbat, the first part.
I know that's it.
No, you said more on the Passover.
On the first part? Oh, first part in Leviticus, it says on the morrow after the Shabbat. Here it says on the morrow after the Passover. And nobody in here is closer to God than Joshua was at the time, because this is the law that they were doing. So if Joshua started to count for Shavuot and they ate the fresh ears and the parched corn on the morrow after the Passover, then I think we safe if we do the same thing, and that's when the count for Shavuot starts. So if anybody asks you why you do the things the way that you do, this is why we do it. Because this is when Joshua did it. Y'all with me? Okay. Amen.
12. Joshua chapter 5, verse 12. And the manna ceased on the morrow, after they had eaten of the produce of the land. Neither had the children of Yisrael manna any more, but they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. And it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked. And behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, Art thou for us or for our adversaries?
So, and it just showed you the type of person that Joshua was. Joshua was not only godly, but Joshua was tough. Because after Joshua gave all of these godly laws and all these different things, he saw somebody over there, standing over there, some stranger. Some strange looking individual with a sword drawn and all those different things. Joshua, look, I'm not going to say what some people would do. I'm going to just say what Joshua did. Joshua walked right up to him and said, So, my Lord, why you here and who you with?
Right.
Go ahead.
14. And he said, Nay, but I am captain of the host.
He said, I'm not for nobody who you talking about. I'm here to represent God. Come on.
But I am captain of the host of Yahweh. I am now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and bowed down and said unto him, What saith my Lord unto his servant? And the captain of Yahweh's host said unto Joshua, Put off thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place whereon thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so.
So, where else was that mentioned in the book? Come on, that was really for them, but okay. I got y'all. Because that's what they told Moses too, right? Moses was a little bit more meek, but Moses went up like, okay, saying, listen, take off your shoes, son. There's a holy ground that you standing on. And he did so. Come on. Now, all that jumping up and down that y'all was just doing, that crunk party that Chief Meku had, now y'all can do this for this verse, for this chapter right here. Come on.
Joshua chapter 6, verse 1, hallelujah.
So if somebody want to just jump out and somebody want to drum and somebody say, Joshua brought the barrels of Jericho and y'all want to sing it and all those different things, please feel free. Just don't take too long, because I still got to get through this portion. Come on.
Now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Yisrael.
So they heard too. Come on.
None went out and none came in.
Because the children of Israel had them surrounded. Had the whole city surrounded. Come on.
And Yahweh said unto Joshua, See, I have given into thy hand Jericho, and the king thereof, even the mighty men of valor. And ye shall compass the city, all the men of war, going about the city once. Thus shalt thou do 6 days. And 7 priests shall bear 7 ram's horns before the ark. And the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times. And the priest shall blow with the horns. And it shall be that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when ye hear the sound of the horn, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall go up every man straight before him.
I mean, sound a little bit unrealistic, but so this is what he said. He said, so y'all gonna compass the city once for 6 days, and so now I know my people. Why we gotta walk around the city? The whole city? Come on, man, my feet hurt and all those different things. But in the meantime, the people in the city are shook. The people in the city are, what are these people doing out here? Why are they walking around the city? But it's a caveat to this. Come on.
Verse 6, and Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said unto them, take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 ram's horns before the ark of Yahweh.
7 priests, 7 ram's horns, come on.
And he said unto the people, pass on and compass the city, and let the armed body pass on before the ark of Yahweh. And it was so, that when Joshua had spoken unto the people, that 7 priests bearing the 7 ram's horn before Yahweh passed on, and blew with the horns, and the ark of the covenant of Yahweh followed them. And the armed men went before the priests that blew the horns, and the rearward went after the ark, the priests blowing with the horns continually.
So now, the priests are blowing, the soldiers are walking around armed, they're walking around this city, and these people in this city of Jericho, they must be losing their mind right now. Because sometimes they probably, just get it over with. Just come on, man. I can't take this.
Psychological warfare.
And that's what it is. You talk about psychological warfare. Anybody who's old enough to ever see a Mike Tyson fight. Back in boxing, people used to come on with their nice, pretty robes and all those different things. Mike Tyson came on with a toga. A toga towel kind of thing, and he walked, and he took it off, and he was short compared to everybody else. And he walked up, and they came in with a nice fancy robe, and he just walked in like this. Say nothing. And people, and you could look, if you ever see a stare down, a Mike Tyson stare down, people looked, and they were like, and you could tell the fight had been changed, and the fight was over. Because you have this little guy just walking, and he walking around the ring, not saying nothing. Fight was over. How you a professional boxer and you lose in 90 seconds? I'm just saying the fight is over. And this is what happened here. Come on.
Verse 10, and Joshua commanded the people, saying, ye shall not shout, nor let your voice be heard, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth until the day I bid you shout.
So now this is the problem. Because Joshua told all these people now, for 7 days, don't talk. Don't scream, don't talk, don't say nothing. And now, this is the part that kind of creates an issue for us. Because if you ask us to not talk for 7 minutes, we have a problem, much less 7 days. But this is all a part of what God is preparing the people for, to show you why he's God and there is none else. Come on.
Then shall ye shout. 11. So he caused the ark of Yahweh to compass the city, going about it once. And they came into the camp and lodged in the camp.
Walk around, come and relax. Come on.
And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of Yahweh. And the 7 priests bearing the 7 ram's horns before the ark of Yahweh went on continually, and blew with the horns. And the armed men went before them, and the rearward came after the ark of Yahweh, the priests blowing with the horns continually. And the 2nd day they compassed the city once, and returned into the camp. So they did 6 days.
6 days, which included a Shabbat, obviously. Will we agree with that?
Right.
Okay, come on.
15. And it came to pass on the 7th day, that they rose early at the dawning of the day.
So now, 6 days, Joshua got up early with the priests and the armed men, and they walked around the city. They got up early. But on this particular day, the 7th day, they got up extra early. It says at the dawn. The dawn is like right when you start to see that first crack of light coming up. That's when they rose up. So for those of us who don't like to roll out of bed until 12, 1 o'clock, you would have missed all this. Come on.
And compassed the city after the same manner 7 times.
7 times.
Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times.
Okay.
And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priest blew with the horns, that Joshua said unto the people, shout, for Yahweh has given you the city.
It's about time. Come on.
17.
That's when y'all was supposed to drum. That's when he said, that's when y'all was. This is what my man, Saya, you always ready, man. Come on. Do it over. I got
17.
I'm pressed for time here.
And the city shall be devoted, even it and all that is therein, to Yahweh. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. And ye in any wise keep yourselves from the devoted thing.
That was important. Because some things that God said were to be left alone, were to be left alone. Everything else you could take, some things were to be left alone. Come on.
18. And ye in any wise keep yourselves from the devoted thing, lest ye make yourselves accursed by taking of the devoted thing. So should you make the camp of Yisrael accursed and trouble it.
Because when you do things that you think is just you,
right?
Listen,
Come on.
You could cause problems for other people.
That's right.
And I'm gonna just give you a very light, easy example. If you think you can just go out there and maybe you just kind of robbed something, maybe you just kind of took something, and then you got away with it, and then you go, guess what? The police come to your parents' house.
Right.
And now your parents have to deal with that, and they come looking for you. And all of the neighbors are looking like, we knew that boy wasn't no good. We knew, you know, police don't knock like that. That is not the police knock.
Right.
Soon as that, what you do? Because we know that knock.
Right.
Coming from where we come from, we know that knock. Be careful what you do, because it can affect other people. Especially those who you love. Come on.
Verse 19. But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron are holy unto Yahweh. They shall come into the treasury of Yahweh. 20. So the people shouted, and the priest blew with the horns. And it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the horn, that the people shouted with a great shout, and the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city.
Because after Israelites talking for 7 days not talking, you know that city. You know people shouted a siren leap. Anybody see the promo? This is from way back. When Ella Fitzgerald sang, and she cracked the glass with her voice. Like, it's actually a real promo. She was 55 years old, and she sang, and they kept having her sing until she cracked the glass with her voice. And I don't want to say how old you are, but man, Memorex tapes. Memorex tapes, cassettes. Cracked the glass with her voice. And they interviewed her and they asked her, they said, because what the thing was this, they said other opera singers, if y'all don't know by now, Ella Fitzgerald is black. I mean, y'all should just know by the name Ella that she black. But anyway, Ella Fitzgerald is black. And what they have been saying is opera singers have been claiming to crack glasses with their voice for years. There was never any proof. But when Ella Fitzgerald did it and they asked her, they said, well, are you sure that this is what you did? She said, I had to, because there were lawyers there watching to make sure that this happened. And that's what she did. She sung and cracked the glass. So now imagine 3-4 million people with voices like Ella Fitzgerald, some a little lower, some sounding like Barry White, some sounding all these different ways, and they singing and they shouting, those walls came tumbling down. But the more important part about all of that was God was showing that all you got to do is listen to me, and you won't even have to fight. You didn't have to build anything. You didn't have to chop anything. All you had to do was listen to me, and I will bring about deliverance. Come on.
21.
The battle is his.
And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, both young and old, and ox and sheep and ass with the edge of the sword. And Joshua said unto the 2 men that had spied out the land, Go into the harlot's house, and bring out thence the woman, and all that she has, as ye swore unto her.
Because it was important for them to keep their promise and to keep their word that they made to her. Come on.
And the young men, the spies, went in, and brought out Rahab, and her father, and her mother, and her brethren, and all that she had. All her kindred also they brought out. And they set them without the camp of Yisrael. And they burnt the city with fire, and all that was therein. Only the silver, and the gold, and the vessels of brass and of iron, they put into the treasury of the house of Yahweh. But Rahab the harlot, and her father's household, and all that she had, did Joshua save alive. And she dwelt in the midst of Yisrael unto this day, because she hid the messengers whom Joshua sent to spy out Jericho.
Amen.
26. And Joshua charged the people with an oath at that time, saying, Cursed be the man before Yahweh that rises up and builds this city, even Jericho. With the loss of his firstborn shall he lay the foundation thereof, and with the loss of his youngest son shall he set up the gates of it. So Yahweh was with Joshua, and his fame was in all the land. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So the first thing I'm going to say is, so this oath that Joshua charged the people with, there was a man. So now, you know what? Can I offer money on Shabbat? Because what I want to say is the kid who gives me that answer first to find out the kid under 19? I want to say the kid under 15 who finds the names of the people who went and built up Jericho again, that I got you for $5. That Chief Elquana got the treasurer got y'all for $5. That's what I want to say. So listen, y'all got some time if y'all want to do that. But so I want to take the time that's left and I want to have another conversation, right? I want to take a minute to talk about, and just kind of keep me on time, please. I want to take a minute to talk about male and female relationships, right? So, the first thing that I'm going to say is, the nature of a relationship between a man and a woman is usually dictated between that man and that woman. Would y'all agree with that?
Right.
Okay. I didn't expect no cane from y'all because I'm expecting that y'all wouldn't know. So now, when parents are involved, then the parental right of the parental right will dictate many times the nature of the relationship between that son and that daughter. Will we agree with that as well?
Right.
Okay. So now, because people are different, it's very difficult to dictate. It's very difficult to dictate how people are going to interact in a relationship because many factors are going to be different. Would y'all agree with that as well? Amen. But we do need to have certain standards that need to be set. Standards that are grounded in Torah that need to be set. So now, the first standard that I'm going to talk about is this. If you're in some sort of an intimate relationship with somebody, maybe y'all live together, maybe y'all share bills, maybe y'all share a joint checking or savings account. When y'all break up, some sort of a bill of divorce needs to be issued. Will we agree with that? Okay. I heard a hum in the back, but I didn't really hear. I didn't hear everything that that came along with it. The other thing, so we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, right? Where it says that God said that your desire will be towards your husband, and he shall rule over you. That's what we read, right? But I think we also would tend to agree that that does not mean that women can be oppressed.
Right.
Will we agree with that as well? Okay, because it says you can't oppress a hired servant. It says that you cannot oppress a stranger. So if you can't oppress a stranger or a hired servant, then I would just think that it'd be common practice that you wouldn't be able to oppress your wife either. And I definitely don't think you should be able to oppress your husband. I'm just putting that out there, just for the record. I'm just putting that out there. So now, with all of these things to be considered, I know that men and women are gonna like each other. That's what we expect, that's what we hope for. But one of the first things that we need to consider is when you make that commitment to be in a relationship, one of the things that you need to consider is you need to learn the person that you're intend to be in this long-term relationship with. Would y'all agree with that? Because you don't want to end up with somebody and 5 years down the road, because y'all didn't really talk, y'all started the relationship from another perspective, and now you look up and you like, I can't believe I'm with this particular male or this female, right? So now, there's this concept of that man came up with called courting. Me personally, I'm not really a proponent or a fan of courting, because courting is not something that's regulated by Torah. Will we agree with that? Y'all kind of slowed down on me. Okay. Torah talks about betrothals, engagements, and Torah talks about marriage. So now, I'm going to say this. If we courting, if you come to me and you say, yo, Zar, I would like to have a conversation. I would like to talk to your daughter. Now, I understand that becomes a little bit touchy, because I'm sure you probably want to check with her first just to make sure she like you. You know what I'm saying? So I get that part. So maybe you want to just have a quick conversation just to say, hey, yo, Teach, do you like me? Yeah, I like you too. Okay, I'm going to go talk to Zaccar. I just want you to do it because look, knowing my kids, if you come to Zaccar and be like, and she'll be like, him? Nah, bro. Find something to tell him. I know that. I know my daughter. You know, so, you know, I figure you might want to, see, she's starting already. So I figure you might want to have that quick conversation, very, very quick conversation. When I tell you very quick, I mean very quick conversation, just to say, hey, yo, do you like me? You want to think about it? You know what? Just write her a note. Like we used to do in 7th grade. Do you like me? X, yes, Y, no.
Paper trail there. That's a paper trail.
It's a paper trail. But that's good. Paper trail is good. Okay, so now, when you come to me and I say, yes, you can have a conversation with my daughter. The next day, you should not be calling my daughter talking about, can you make me some mashed potato? Can you cook me some peas and rice? Because she's still she live with me. You don't be demanding no meals for my daughter. I don't even demand meals for my daughter. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So now, because I think we done got it twisted. Because we're in a society where men have learned, because we've been oppressed for so long, what happens is we kind of get this thing where when we finally get somebody who is willing to, I'm not gonna use the word submissive. I don't think submissive is an appropriate term. But when we finally find somebody who's willing to respect us and have a desire for us, we want to go way overboard. And we just talking. All we doing is talking. We didn't even reach the betrothal stage yet.
Wow.
So now, listen, if y'all just courting, this word that came up with, if y'all just courting, listen. Now, this is the part that comes a little funny, and this is why I don't agree with courting. See, because courting, there's no regulations towards courting. Because guess what? She might say, I'm courting you, and you, and you. She might do that. Now, I'm not going to say whether that's right or wrong, because I can't say whether this is right or wrong, because it's not dictated in Torah. I know once you get betrothed, you can't be betrothed to you, and you, and you. That part I know. Y'all with me so far? Okay. So, I say all of this to say this.
How does it work for the women? How does it work for men?
As far as what?
Say everything that you're saying. Like, say if a woman is interested in a man, is it okay for her to approach the guy
So now,
this way of life, being that it's male dominant, as you say, or
that I'm not gonna subscribe to that male dominant theory. Because people are people. No, I understand. And I'm gonna say people are people. So I'm just gonna say, for me, listen, it's perfectly okay for a woman to come up to you and say, hey, you know what, I like you. You know why? Because it's a lot of pressure on men. you know when you see somebody and you need to make that, I'm trying to figure out whether she liked me or not. I can't tell. I'm trying to read the signs. That's a lot of pressure on us.
Right.
So if y'all want to make it easy, it'd be like,
But to her point, I'm gonna let you get it out. But to her point, I think they're really asking like, does somebody need to ask your permission to talk to Tyre?
does somebody need to ask my permission to talk? That was your question?
Well, just in general, either or just a woman approaching a man or a young.
Well, I'm gonna do like Frank Sinatra. I'm gonna do this my way. So now, what I'm saying is, y'all relieve a lot of pressure on us. That's what I'm saying, and that's the salient point. And that's a lot of pressure. But so now, but I want to say, listen. That's why I started off by saying there are really no set rules and guidelines to this. So if you feel like you want to see, and I want to use you, so let's say you had an extra daughter and her name was Tefillah, I don't know, and you came to me and you said, hey, Zaccar, Tetsi, I want Tyre to talk to Tefillah. Then what we gonna do is we gonna talk. Well, first I'm gonna ask Tyre, so you should tell Tefillah, talk to Tyre first just to see. Right, all that. But what I'm saying is there are no rules per se. So but as long as it has to be done with some sort of an order, it has to be done with some sort of a morality and righteousness to it. That's what I'm saying. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we all clear that it's a lot of pressure on men. We got that clear. What was your second question?
What about the man that's already married?
Say it again.
What if the man already has a wife?
Okay.
This one comes in interested. How do you go about that? Is there a point where it's a violation or disrespect to the wife that's there already?
So now, what I'm gonna say is, like Chief Nav said this morning, he said polygamy, how you said it? Because polygamy is a beautiful thing, but you said something that was really, it was the way you said it. All right, well, we'll go back to the videotape. Listen, that's when you're a family and you have the best of intentions in what it is that you're doing, then you can find a way to go up to somebody to say, hey, now whether you go to the wife first or whether you go to the husband first, you might want to go to the wife first to see if the husband like you, because the husband might not like you. I don't know. No, I mean, everything comes into play. But listen, when we're building a society of people who, we recognize that men and women are going to like each other. And when we build a society that's predicated on doing it and getting it done in a righteous and acceptable manner before God, we'll make a way. We'll make a way. All right, this is going to be the last question. And I'm only doing this because I know you had your hand up, but he over here, he waving me down like... Oh, okay.
But my question is, you said you're not a fan of courting, so, like, is there an alternative? Because my understanding is, like, if a man wants my hand in marriage, like, I would think they would, like, speak to my parents, bring an offering to my...
Oh, they better bring an offering.
Yeah, bring an offering to my...
What you want for a real offering? Listen, an offering is not a bottle of wine. That's going to be clear. Yeah, she won.
To my family and stuff like that, and then like down the line, like is it marriage? Like what? There's no in between marriage and getting to know? So I'm trying to understand. I thought courting was getting to know that person.
So now I'm going to answer your question like this. And the reason I started the conversation is because, like I said, I just think that these are certain conversations that we need to have. So now, obviously, there's a in-between point between marriage and can I talk to your daughter or your son? Obviously, there's an in-between point. What we need, I'm not a fan of courting because people have a different understanding of what courting is. And that's the problem. So now, what the best way to handle it is just like you said. They come and they talk to your parents, and after they talk to your parents sit down, people sit down and open up the lines of communication to set parameters on how this relationship is gonna go. And once y'all set those parameters, then as long as everybody goes in those guidelines and those parameters, we should be okay. God is good. Right? All honors, praises, respect, acknowledgement, and thanks I offer unto the great King of the universe, to the God of our fathers, Abraham, Yisrael, and Yaakov, thanking him for all things and everything. Shalom, the
Hallelujah. 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 I hope and pray that the Most High God find all that we did this day acceptable, even in the highest course of His glory. And I pray that the Most High God will watch over us in the week to come, guide us, shield us, protect us, hear our prayers, answer our prayers, heal us from any ailments, any diseases, any sicknesses. Be with our elders, be with our mothers, our fathers, our children. Praying that the Most High God will bless us all. Why da be Yahweh El Moshe Lemor, da be El Aharon El Benah Lemor, Kol Tabaraku Et Bnei Yisrael Amor Lahem. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto Aharon and unto his son, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, ye shall say unto them, Yevareka Yahweh Yishmareka, Ya'ir Yahweh Panah Leka Wikuneka, Yisa Yahweh Panah Leka Yasem Leka Shalom. May Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. May Yahweh make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. May Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and may he grant thee peace. Amen. Amen. Announcements, Bavakasha. If you have any announcements, let me know. I don't know any announcements. Birthdays, Prince, you have something? Chief?
Okay, I don't know exactly all the particulars, but I guess it can't be that many particulars. But I believe we're still trying to get that journey to Philadelphia on the 23rd. So they had asked that, you know, most of the family come out because they're having a nice thing. So we're still trying to make transportation a reservation. So we really, you know, between this week, I guess, and next week, we'll find out who's going and how many rides we have, or how many people we have and not enough rides so we can get a bus or something to that nature. So I'm just keep bringing it out so that we don't forget it. It's important.
Donation, see Chief Elkanah Ben Yehuda over here. Any other announcements? Any birthdays? Anything? If not, go with God. Have a safe week. Most High God bless us all.